Yo guys, it's Griff here back with another video, and today we are doing League 2 predictions. So obviously these are only early predictions, so only take them as a pinch of salt. Everything can change quickly. So firstly, the relegation team I am going for, there are two in here because I've obviously only two come up from the National League. I am going for Crawley. I just feel like Crawley, they're a quietly bad run club. I'm sorry, the owners don't really know what they're doing. There's these American owners constantly signing new players, constantly bringing in new managers. I think it's ridiculous, and there's only one way that's going to send them, and that's down, I think, to be honest, because I don't feel like they've got enough to be able to stay up this season, especially after the shenanigans of last season. The next team I'm going to say that goes down is Barrow. I don't mind Barrow, actually. They're quite a well-run club. I just don't feel like Barrow have enough to stay up this season. They've got a few good players, but I don't feel like Barrow have enough to stay up this season. But I think they will come back up from the National League next season. The next team is Doncaster. I know this might be a bit low for them, but Doncaster, I don't know, I feel like they're another badly run club. I feel like they're only going in a worse direction than they are at the moment, and I feel that's going to end up with a really tough relegation battle, and I think they will stay up, but just by the skin of their teeth. The next team is Sutton. Sutton are a decent side. They've got a few good players, but I feel like it's going to be a bad season for Sutton, and maybe they won't be too happy with a finish like this. But I can understand why they won't be happy, but this is where I think they'll finish. Next is Harrogate. Obviously, they've only been in the league for a few years since getting up from the National League, but I think they've done okay. Survival again would be a decent place for them to finish, and I think they'll do the same again. They'll survive, they'll be okay. I think got a few quality players, got a good manager, and they'll be alright where they are at the moment. Next team is Colchester. Colchester are a decent side. I think they've got potential to grow as a team and maybe even finish higher. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them higher than where I've predicted them. I just felt like they don't have enough to be able to finish mid-table, if you understand what I mean. The next team is Tranmere. I think Tranmere are a really good side. I think they've got really good fans, they've got a really nice stadium, decently well-run club. I just don't feel like Tranmere will be able to push for the playoffs this season, even though they have got a decent side and they have got a League One ground. The next team is Morecambe. Obviously, just coming down from League One, you should think they should be going for the playoffs for League Two. But I don't know, I just don't rate Morecambe that much. And they may prove me wrong, but I just don't feel like Morecambe have enough to be able to go up. They've got a few decent players, but I think just stay in the league this season, finish mid-table, and then push on for next season. The next team is Gillingham. Obviously, I really do like the Gillingham away end, and maybe people don't, but I don't mind Gillingham. Obviously, they've got a good chance of going up if they do some good business over the summer, but I just don't really feel like they're going to do some good business, and I feel like they won't go up this season. I'm sorry, Gillingham fans. The next team is Walsall. Walsall are a decent side. They've got a good ground. They did quite well in the FA Cup last season, but by giving Leicester a good game, but I don't feel like Walsall will have enough to be able to go for the playoffs this season, but they might be quite satisfied with a mid-table finish. The next team, I think this might be a bit low for me, is AFC Wimbledon. They're a decent side, but I just don't feel like they've got enough to go up this season. They've got a few good players, they've got a decent ground, but I just don't feel like they've got enough either. They've got a few standout players, but I don't think they can do enough to be able to bring them up this season. The next team is Crewe Alexandra. I don't feel like Crewe have enough to go up this season. They've got a few decent players. I just don't, and they've got some decent fans at home, but I just don't feel Crewe have that mentality and the team to go up this season. They've got good enough players, but they've not got enough for me, to be honest. The next team is Accrington Stanley. Accrington Stanley are a decent side, to be fair. We were in League One last season, and I thought they were quite good in League One. I was surprised that they went down. So I think they'll do alright this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them in that playoff picture, to be honest, because they're a decent side. But I just don't think they've got enough to be able to get into the playoffs, but they'll finish in the top half position. The next is Forest Green. I'm not a big fan of Forest Green. I just feel like they're just a green club. I don't mind green, but I just don't feel like Forest Green are really a run club like any other club. They're really different. They like to maybe change it up a bit, change how football is. And I guess you can respect them for that, but I just don't feel like on the pitch they've got enough to go this season. It wouldn't surprise me if I did see them in the playoffs because they are a decent side, but not for me this year, sorry. The next team is Swindon Town. Swindon are a decent side. Obviously, they are the rivals of Reading, so I'm not the biggest fan of Swindon. But I don't know, I just don't feel like their playoffs is up for them. I similar finish to last year, I will say, if I'm going to be honest. I think they'll be close, but just not good enough for me. The next team is MK Dons. Some of the worst fans you will ever see, MK Dons, honestly. But I just don't feel like MK Dons have enough this season. A poor atmosphere at home, poor away following. I don't feel like they've got enough for coming down from League One. Everyone was surprised that they did come down from League One, especially after being in the playoffs a year before, lose some key players and a good manager. I just don't feel like it's going to be a good year for MK. The next team is Newport County. I don't mind Newport. They've got a really nice little ground there. They've got a decent side. They've got a few good players, and I think they'll do okay, to be honest. If they keep their best players, they might be able to go for the playoffs, and I think they'll be okay this season, but just not good enough for me. The next team is Mansfield. These will get to the playoffs, in my opinion. Mansfield have always been a threat to League Two. They've always been really good, and I think they're a decent side, and they have enough to go up through the playoffs. And I think they will actually, to be honest, because they've got some really good quality players. I don't think it'd be easy for them, but I think they are a very good club and they've got good potential and some brilliant fans in Mansfield. The next team is Grimsby Town. Obviously, they've got some really good quality players. If they can keep players like McAtee, then they should be fine. It won't be easy for them, but I think Grimsby will be good enough. They've got some good players, and I feel like Grimsby are a decent side, and I think a playoff picture would be good for them this season, especially after a good last season. The next team is Salford. They're always around the playoffs. They've got a really strange little stadium, some poor fans there, but they always are in the playoff picture, and I think again they will be in the playoff picture. Last season they unfortunately got knocked out of the playoffs, but this season I think they'll be much better, much stronger, some more key players, and they should be good this season. They've got good owners, to be fair, who are ready to invest a lot of money into the club, and then I just feel like they'll have a good season, to be fair. The next team is Notts County. Notts County are a great side. They've got a really good following, obviously coming up from the National League like Wrexham, and I feel like Notts County are a really good side. They've got some really good players in them. They've got Langstaff, they've got some other players that are really good, and I feel like they bring a lot to League Two. They've got a really good following, a really nice stadium, and I think they'll challenge Wrexham, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the automatics at the end of the season, because they've got some really good side and they've got a really good following and they're a very good club. The next team is Bradford City. Bradford again have a brilliant following, and I think they are a really good side. Like, they made the playoffs last year and I thought they could have gone up, but unfortunately they bottled it against Carlisle, and I don't feel like Bradford will be able to Bradford won't need to go up, have to use the playoffs this year, as I think they'll get the automatics, because I feel like they've got a really good manager, really good following, and some of the best fans in the league, and I think this will get them to the automatic position. The next team in second position is Stockport County. Stockport are a brilliant side after making it to the playoff final last year. They've got some really good players like Paddy Madden, and they've got some other really good standout players, and I feel like Stockport will get the automatics this year and go up to League One. They've got a really good following, so yet again some of the best fans in the league, and I feel like Stockport have a really good team and will be able to do enough to finish second in the league. And in first place, I love this team. It's Wrexham FC. I'm a really big fan of Wrexham, and I feel like Wrexham have enough to go finish first this season. Obviously, the owners are ready to invest a lot of money into the club. Ryan and Rob are always there, and we've got players like Paul Mullin, Ben Foster, some John Davis. They've got really good players, and I feel like Wrexham will have a really good season this year. And I actually think they'll cruise past the league. Sometimes I think they'll find it a bit hard with the away form, but the home form should be enough to be able to bring them up. That's it for my League 2 predictions. Thanks for listening. Drop a like, subscribe. It's been Griff. I'm out.